Okay, so we've created the solid lift outlet, we've built the bell siphons, we've drilled our rafts. The last major piece of construction is our airline. Okay, once we've built our airline, that's how we get air into the system for our fish tank and our water beds. We are then ready to go and start piecing together my whole aquaponics system. Okay, so for the air, we need air for two reasons. We need air for the plants and for the fish. So what we're going to have is our fish tank over here, and we're going to have a DWC. We're going to use one air pump. That air pump is going to come in and down, and we're going to have an air ring going around the circumference of my tank. And then here I'm going to have one line down the middle of my DWC. Does that make sense? So we're going to have two lots of airline that we construct. Now, for airline, there's not a lot that goes into it. There's a couple components. One is irrigation tube. So this is 12 millimeter irrigation piping, low density. You're looking at a couple rand a meter. Okay, it's very, very cheap, and it's very effective. And the reason we use this instead of the very thin air tube, I think there might be some in the bucket, is it's just that much more efficient and it's cheaper, and it's the main reason I like to use it is it's very easy to plumb with. So this airline actually can push over the outlet of my air pump like that. Okay, then I can clamp it on. Now I'm connected. From here, I'm then going to split and go half to the fish tank and half to my DWC. But the very important thing is I need taps. The reason I need taps is air is going to go to the point of lowest pressure. Where do we think there's more pressure, my fish tank or my DWC? More pressure. My fish tank. So if I didn't have a tap, all my air is going to go to the DWC. So we have to have a tap there to control it. And again, you get a 12 millimeter threaded tap. The threaded taps generally don't leak air. They're nice and strong and sturdy. Also very, very cost effective.
So you'll restrict the air going into the DWC as much as required so that you get a good
Correct.
into the other one.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. So we know the length of our DWC. All right? That's easy to measure. Then what we have is a piece of air line or irrigation pipe, and then, every meter, 30 centimeters of air tube.
In between you put the irrigation pipe.
Correct. So that's just one straight line. Now that is quite easy to weigh down because it's straight. I can weigh it down with a metal rod, cable tie it on, it's going to hold it down. If I don't weigh it down, it's just going to float. Okay. Now my tank, obviously I'm back to some calculations. I want to cover the circumference of my tank. Anyone remember the formula? Circumference equals? That's area. 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Am I right? You're the closest to school out of all of us. Okay. The diameter of my tank, we measured it earlier, was 2 meters. So the radius is 1 meter. So the circumference is 2 times, what is pi?
1.46983.
Google, Siri, what is pi? Times 1. Okay? So that's going to equal...
Give you the American pie that they bake or something. You Google it, take it.
Yeah.
So basically 6.28 meters is going to be that airline. Now this airline will have a T-piece. A T-piece looks like that. which is going to sit there to take my line up. Then I'm going to have a couple of 90 bends, and it's going to go down. Now this irrigation pipe is easy to find, easy to get all the parts and spares for. So that's also another reason we use it. Okay, cost effective and easy. So if I'm looking top down on my fish tank, I know that my whole airline is going to run around the edge like that. Okay? I know that for every meter I need 30 centimeters of air tube. So if it's 6.28 meters, basically I need 6 sections. 6 pieces of 60 centimeter and 6 pieces of 30 centimeter air tube. 70. Correct. Plus there'll be a little bit of overlap. So let's just put together a couple sections.
So the airline is
There we are.
the water to get the air diffused.
On 70.
Exactly, on 70. Yes, the air tube is to diffuse the air into the water nicely. Yeah. And then I can, if I wanted just to create some extra sections, it's quite easy. All right. The other important thing is you just want a clean cut, otherwise you will have air leaking. Now another trick that we use, this is 15 millimeter irrigation pipe, 15 millimeter. The air tube that we're using is 12 millimeter on the inside. So what we buy is a 12 to 15 expander. The 12 fits into my air hose. Then if I take a measurement of 30 centimeters, that's all right, just hold that for me. Yep. Now, because this is going to go around the circumference, it's going to, we're going to use something that's flexible and weight. This is lead weight, same as what you use in fishing. Okay. What's nice with it is it's pliable, it can bend, but it's also quite heavy. Now, because it's covered, I'm not worried about the lead in contact with my water or the fish or anything. If you do have a concern with it, you can always cover it in? It's not in plastic. Silicone spray. Now what we do is we feed it section by section. Okay? Because it's a bit tricky sometimes to get through all the little joiners. And you'll see here, this is already.
Probably better put the metal through first and then the attachment.
Uh-huh. Like that. Then it goes through. Just way simpler. So you don't put it all together and then try thread it. But it's also quite useful to have pieces of this that you'll then go and that, and then you kind of thread it through. Okay, so then what you keep doing is building your airline. That will be the total 6.28 meters. Is that clear? Any questions?
So the air will come out from the air pipe.
So yes, so this will be connected to my pump, obviously over here, and I'll be feeding air through here, and I'll control how much air goes in. But what I will get is a very even distribution of air around the outside of my tank. The air does a few things. The reason it's on the outside of my tank is it helps push feed into the middle of my fish tank. Okay, so fish aren't struggling to eat it off the edge. It also helps just push all my fish waste more towards my solid lift outlet. Okay, so it's a very, very cost-effective way of having highly effective air distribution systems. All right.
Sorry,
Yeah, so for trout, we have two air inputs. We have an air diffuser disc as well as the air tube. Air diffuser discs, I saw one just now. Here we go. Okay, that's a membrane. This membrane has tiny porous holes that if I blow, it helps diffuse the air. These are very, very, very effective. So we'll typically have one of these in the middle of the tank if we are farming with trout, because it gives us extra aeration. So we aerate on the edge as well as in the middle. But for tilapia, you just have to aerate on the edge. You don't have to aerate in the middle also.
So how would you attach, if that would be something that you do? I mean, how do you go about?
Exactly the same way. We just get all the connectors. You get the reducers or the expanders, and it just, over here, what I'll have is another tap that will then run to my air disc. So if you look at all our tanks, the air discs and the air lines both have taps to control the airflow. Now, if I wanted to, I could create an air manifold. If I had two air pumps, I could have two air pumps next to each other, both feeding into a central air line. If I do that, make sure that you go from 15 up to probably a 30 mil as your main distributor line.
And then reduce again.
And then reduce back down again to 15. That gives you redundancy in your system. So if one air pump fails, the other air pump will make sure that air is still going around the system. Okay, that's how you build your manifold. But again, when you start using things that are available, it makes life much, much easier to do your plumbing.
Well, where would you go back to 12?
Sorry?
Where would you, from 15 to 12, where would you go back? At the bottom, kind of.
So if I had two air pumps, it would come out here at 15 millimeter. This here would be 30 millimeter. Wherever I tap off, I have a 30 to 15 reducer. So that might go to my DWC1. This might go to tank 1. And then I reduce back down to 15. Otherwise, what happens is I'll create a lot of back pressure if I don't allow the pipe to expand. Okay. All good. Okay, so team A, you can do the DWC. All right, team B, you can do the fish tank. So all your components are over here. If you can use pieces that you see that are already cut, use it. If you can't, then there is extra. Because our DWC is quite short, what you might want to do is do like 15 centimeters of air tube, 30 centimeters of air line, because it's quite small, just to get a nice distribution.
So it's 15, 30, 15,
Yeah,
30.
just because it's because if you did it's only what 1.5 meters.
Yeah.
It just gives you a nice even airflow. Just on much bigger systems, we will spread it out more. All right, cool.